Kevin and Ivy. We shall divide the discussion in this session into two parts. In Part 3a, we shall learn more about the consciousness layer, and how we can connect to it through meditation. In Part 3b, we shall learn how living consciously can help us transform our life, and help us play well in the game of life. We shall begin by seeing what are the views of Dr. James Quackos and Peter Russell, on how to connect to the inner person. Please take notes of the key points in the video extracts and share your thoughts on them later.
There's a wide range of ways of opening up and learning about these kinds of experiences. I think the first thing is just studying your own experiences in life and what happens. When we use our intuitive sense or our gut feeling about what might be taking place, we begin to make more sense of it. One way is, at the end of the day, think about anything unusual or that was especially uplifting during the day, and review it and think about why it happened, how it happened, what it means, and what else it might be connected to. And asking open-ended questions like that of our own experiences helps draw us closer to our ability to understand them. So reviewing the day at the end of the day is one great way of doing it. Asking for help in the dream state, going to sleep at night and asking for a solution, a suggestion, or some way of understanding a problem we're having in our life, asking for a dream to help explore that opens us up, not only to our inner experience of understanding how we think and feel about things, understanding our own fears and doubts and worries, but also it can open us up to the much wider expanse of our inner mind, which is connected to the minds of other people. The other thing is beginning the day by thinking about how we would like the day to go. What is our primary purpose or mission for this day? What would we like it to be? And making a connection with that oasis within ourselves, our oasis of well-being, or the sort of the wellspring of life that we're connected to, is like a fountain that's always radiating a certain degree of energy and uplifting us. Reviewing some of our past best experiences, our peak experiences at the beginning of the day, to remind ourselves that basically, innately, we're whole. And we're connected to a spiritual source which is marvelous, which is wise, which is loving, which is nurturing, which wants us to have the day go well and wants it to succeed in the ways that can make it go well. Thinking about what draws us out and how we can express ourselves during the day so that we make a contribution to the lives of those we meet. And so some people do that with meditation, some people do that with prayer, some people just do that with reflection or with rehearsing how they would like the day to go. So there's lots of different ways that can happen. I think listening to great music is one way of opening us up to the higher realm of who we are. I think looking at great art and thinking about what's the meaning behind that, or how did this person translate their connection to a source of beauty into something that which really is quite remarkable. So there's lots of ways of doing this. I think what's incumbent on us is to find what works easiest for us. For some it is painting, for some it is listening to music, for some it's sharing stories with friends and family. But I think often it can be very practical. It can be just asking questions. You know, when something unusual is experienced, asking as many questions about it as possible and trusting in the fact that there's a reality behind it. We don't know exactly what that is, but we'd like to find out more. And so trusting the fact that something unusual may have seeds of truth that we can learn from helps take us further into the meaning behind it. And I think it opens our mind to be more receptive to these kinds of transforming experiences.
Kevin, what does Dr. Quackos recommends a person can do at the end of the day to better connect to their inner person?
Yes, Joanna. Dr. Quackos recommends that at the end of the day, we should review and think about any unusual or especially uplifting events during the day. We should ask questions like, why and how the events happened, what it means and what else it may be connected to. He says that asking open-ended questions draws us closer to our ability to understand them. Dr. Quackos also recommends that before we go to sleep at night, we should ask for help in the dream state, in the form of suggestions, solutions, or some way of understanding a problem we are facing in our life. He says that asking for a dream opens us up to our inner experience of understanding how we think and feel about things. It will help expose our fears, doubts and worries. He says that it will also open us up to the wider expanse of our inner mind, which is connected to the minds of other people.
Ivy, can you please share with us what Dr. Quackos recommends that we should do at the start of a day?
Dr. Quackos recommends that we begin the day by thinking about how we would like the day to go, what is our primary purpose or mission for the day, and to connect to our inner person. He recommends that we review some of our past best and peak experiences, as a way to remind ourselves that we are connected to a nurturing source that wants us to have the day to go well. He also recommends that we think about how we can make a contribution to the lives of people we meet during the day.
What are the methods that Dr. Quackos says people can use to better connect with their inner person?
Dr. Quackos says that people can do it through meditation, prayer or with reflection, or rehearsing how they would like the day to go.
Dr. Quackos says that there are a lot of different ways of opening up to the higher realms of who we are, such as listening to great music, looking at great art and thinking about the meaning behind it. He says that it is necessary for each one of us to find the method that is easiest for us, to make that daily connection to our inner being. For somebody it could be painting, and for someone else it could be listening to music.
He says that trusting the fact that something unusual may have the seeds of truth that we can learn from, helps take us further into the meaning behind it. It will help open up our mind to be more receptive to these kinds of transforming experiences.
Let us now hear what Peter Russell has to say about meditation, and how it connects us to who we really are.
Meditation is about allowing the thinking mind to settle down and come to a state of rest. When that happens, we start noticing there's a place of inner quietness and inner stillness that's there. And in that inner stillness, we begin to notice that sense of the pure self. We don't normally notice it because I am attending to you, I'm attending to the wall, I'm attending to my feelings, I'm attending to what I'm hearing. The I is always attending to something. When we meditate and the mind becomes quiet, then the attention relaxes and the I can begin to just notice itself. It's like, oh yes, I am here. I have always been here. When you notice that experience of I am, you feel that oneness, you feel that love of God, you feel that peace, you feel all the things that are ascribed to God or deity, you realize are actually the qualities of your own natural beingness. I think yes, all the religions are pointing to this. And Ramana Maharshi said, I am is the name of God. And it's also universal because what that sense of pure I-ness is for me is exactly what it is for you. There's no difference. And it's the same for all of us. And so in that sense, we are all one. Deep down, we all have that same sense of being, that sense of I. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It's not out there. We're looking for it out there. If I just had this relationship, this job, this car, this money, whatever it is, I would be happy. It's the very act of looking for something out there cuts us off from our own beingness. So as soon as we start looking out there, we're not going to find it because the very act of looking takes us away from our own self. And what we're actually looking for is the kingdom of heaven, which is actually our own self. It's within us. There is this deeper inner contentment, which is there anyway. You still need to eat and do things and take care of family and all of that stuff. But you're not doing it because if I just did this, I'd be happy. There's an inner contentment that is there. And so you are now free to do what is needed in the world, to help other people, look after yourself, but you're free to do it without this need, I must do this because if I just did this, I might be a bit happier. If you're happy anyway, then life is transformed. That's what freedom is.
Ivy, please share the key points about meditation from Peter Russell's video.
Peter Russell says that meditation is about allowing the thinking mind to settle down and come to a state of rest. He says that when that happens, we will start to notice that there is a place of inner quietness and inner stillness. He says that in that inner stillness, we will begin to notice that sense of our pure self. He says that we normally don't notice it, because we are normally busy attending to our thoughts, feelings, and responding to what we are hearing. He says that the I is always attending to something, and when we meditate the mind becomes quiet. The attention then relaxes and the I can then begin to just notice itself.
I guess the I that Peter Russell is referring to is the consciousness layer person.
Yes, Kevin. Meditation is a practice that all religions and mystics recommend for connecting to the inner being of a person. There are many forms of meditation. We shall review some of them later, and see that in essence they are all the same. They are just different ways of connecting to the inner person.
Now I understand why Peter Russell says that, when you notice the experience of who I am, you feel that oneness, you feel that love of God, you feel that peace, you feel all the things that are ascribed to God, the deity. He says that you realize that you are actually the quality of your natural beingness.
Peter Russell says that the pure sense of I is universal and is the same for all of us. He says in that sense, we are all one. Deep down we all have that sense of being, that sense of I.
He says that the kingdom of heaven is within us, and people are looking for it outside. He says that the very act of looking for happiness outside cuts us off from our beingness.
He says that when we are happy inside, our life will be transformed, and that is what freedom is all about.
Thank you, Kevin and Ivy, for the sharing. We shall now explore how the process of meditation helps to establish a distance or gap between the mind layers and the consciousness layer of the inner person. To simplify our discussion, we shall organize the 5-layer person into 3 entities, using the metaphor of the hardware and software of a remote-controlled toy car controlled by a person. They are the hardware physical and energy body, the software subconscious and conscious mind, and consciousness. Since the mind software is just a brain tool used to collect, store and process information, let us call the subconscious mind as the habit mind, and the conscious mind as the thinking mind. Let us also call consciousness as awareness, since we want to use the quality of being aware to differentiate the different levels of consciousness. We shall now listen to Sakuru describes why it is important to establish a gap or space between consciousness or awareness and the mind.
Once there is a space between you and the mind, then what the mind is not doing, what the mind is doing is not even an issue. It is like you're stuck in the traffic jam. You're struggling through the traffic. That's one experience. Suppose you're either standing on Chamundi Hill or you're floating in a hot air balloon and look down at all the traffic. Very peacefully, traffic. Why? There's a distance, isn't it? When you're in it, traffic is a different experience. From really high up there, sitting in a hot air balloon, you look down, you can't even hear the sounds. Looks wonderful, traffic, isn't it? Yes or no? Because there's a distance. So once there's a distance between you and your mind's activity, mind is not a problem. Mind is a miracle, it is not a problem.
Ivy, please share what Sadhguru means by a space between us and our mind.
Yes, Joanna. Sadhguru says that once there is a space between our consciousness or awareness and our mind, then what the mind is doing is not an issue. He uses the metaphor of a person stuck in a traffic jam to highlight how the experience of being stuck in a traffic jam can change, depending on the perspective of the observer. If the person's awareness is identified with a person's body stuck in the traffic jam, then the person will experience the frustration of being stuck in the traffic jam. However, if the person's awareness can separate itself from identifying with the mind and body, and instead view the experience of being stuck in the traffic jam from the perspective of an observer in a hot air balloon from a distance, the experience will be different. He says that once there is a distance between our awareness and our mind's activity, the mind is not a problem.
I understand now what Sadhguru meant by not identifying with our mind's activity. We should be aware and view our mind's activity from the perspective of a third-party observer.
Yes, Kevin. Meditation will help a person develop the habit of being able to establish the space between their awareness and their mind. In this way, they will be able to be aware of all the activities of their mind and body in the present moment.
I guess the secret is for the awareness to become an observer of all the activities of the mind and body. The mind and body is like an avatar controlled by awareness, where awareness is like the boy with the remote, and the toy car is the avatar.
Yes, Ivy. You are correct. We shall learn more about this later from the monk named Rinpoche, when he describes what is the essence of meditation. Let us listen now to the mystic Mujiji, describes why it is important for us to be aware of our mind's activity, and how the process of being aware of our mind's activity brings a person's attention to awareness.
It's very important to be aware of your mind. One thing, aware of your mind, what your mind is. Yesterday I was hinting a bit at the beginning of satsang, that most people, if you let them sit down, even for, like for 5 minutes without anything happening, their minds start to make up things because you're not used to it. You're not used to being by yourself and not thinking. If you're by yourself and not thinking, it's because you're going to sleep or something. So the mind automatically starts to come up and activities start very much. So I say, observe your mind and see what your mind produces. And then as you keep watching, but don't identify, just watch, the suggestions that come through the mind and the, sort of restlessness, all this, just be aware of them, be aware. And gradually, by knowing that you're not that and you're watching that, your attention comes back to awareness. You become naturally self-aware. Because a lot of times we identify with the mind without intending to. Because you're looking and, you're kind of into something and it's like you're obeying the mind's suggestions. No? So if you start to watch the mind, automatically it creates a separation between mind and self. This is very good, very important thing what I'm sharing. If you are observing the mind, rather than just serving and acting out mind, thoughts and suggestions and so on, just be aware, sit, even for 5 minutes, you just watch every thought, every suggestion that comes in the mind without identifying with it, then automatically a gap opens up where you can see that the mind becomes an object of your attention and leaves you as the subject of witnessing. And so automatically it throws you back into self-awareness. And you know the difference between, let's say you must know the difference between yourself and your mind. That is the exercise I'm saying.
Kevin, please share what Mujiji recommends a person should do to become self-aware.
Yes, Joanna. Mujiji says that most people are not used to being by themselves and not thinking. Their minds will start to make up things because they are not used to being alone and not thinking. He recommends a person to observe the activity of their mind and see what it produces. The person should not identify with the activities of the mind, but just be aware of them. He says that the process of observing the mind's activities will draw the person's attention to awareness, and make the person naturally self-aware. He says that by watching the activity of our mind, it will automatically create a separation between the mind and self. The mind will become the object of our attention, and leaves us as the subject that is witnessing it.
Joanna, is what Mujiji describing a form of meditation. It is quite different from what Peter Russell's description about meditation being the inner stillness that will allow a person to notice the sense of the pure self.
Yes, Ivy. Mujiji's description of the process of observing thoughts to become self-aware is also a form of meditation. There are many ways to connect to awareness and become self-aware. Let us listen to the monk, Rinpoche, describes to us what is the essence of meditation, and the different ways that a person can connect to awareness and become self-aware.
Essence of meditation is recognizing awareness. So whether your mind peace or calm, whether you are relaxing or not, that's not the issue. So even you may not experience peace, you may not experience relax. But if you recognize awareness, if you have the presence of awareness, you are in meditation. So normally what we call the experience of meditation and the meditation. The experience of meditation has peaceful, joyful, happiness, bliss, clarity, non-conceptual state of mind, so on, so on, so on. All these are the experience of meditation. But these are not meditation. These are coming byproduct of meditation. But what is real meditation? Awareness, being presence of awareness. So, if you have presence of awareness, then whether you have thought, no thought, doesn't matter. So even you have thought, if you know you are having thought, then still you are in meditation. So normally what we call, if you see the river, if you can see the river, that means you are out of river. So if you fall into river, carried by river, then you cannot see river. So if you see the river, that means you are out of river. At the same time, you don't have to stop the river. You don't have to block the river. So likewise, in our mind, there's a thought, emotion, just like river. Coming, going. So if you see the thought and emotion, that's the awareness. So that awareness is the essence of meditation. And if you don't have much thought and emotion in your mind is just quiet and calm. If you know you're calm and quiet, that is meditation. So in another word, meditation is kind of like the main important aspect of meditation is the awareness, the presence of awareness, and you have to somehow, what we call the view and motivation change the quality of meditation. So if you don't know about the awareness, and if you don't have the motivation to be the presence of awareness, that's not really meditation. So, by having this awareness, then you will really be yourself. You can really be free yourself. The awareness is like lamp. It illuminates darkness. This awareness is like space. Thought, emotion is like cloud, storm, rainbow, like that. So these thought, emotion like cloud, storm, rainbow, they can come, they can stay, they can go. So they are come, they are arises in the space, stay in the space, dissolve back into the space. So they don't change space. They cannot, even the hurricane, tornado, cannot change space. Space cannot change. So awareness cannot change. But we don't know our awareness. That's the issue. That's the problem. So the essence of meditation is not getting lost. What is the meaning of not getting lost? Be presence of awareness. So recognize awareness, be presence of awareness. That's all. Very simple. In general, there's two kinds of style of meditation. The subject-oriented, object-oriented. So subject-oriented meaning awareness is important. Object doesn't matter. You can meditate everywhere, anytime, under any circumstances, short time, many time, everywhere you can do that. So object doesn't matter. But the object-oriented meditation meaning you have to have object meditation, like breathing meditation, has to stay breath. Don't go to the past, don't go to the future, stay with the breath. Don't think about the pizza, just breath. If your mind goes somewhere, bring to the breath. So this has to stay with the breath. So object is important. So for my tradition, the subject, which is awareness, is important. Anything can be used as support for awareness. Common mistake about meditation is normally two mistakes. The one common mistake is people think meditation meaning think of nothing. Concentration, empty mind, empty brain. Don't think anything. So that is one mistake. And second mistake is many people think meditation is peace, calm, joy. So many people associate meditation as peace, calm, joy, clarity. But these are not the essence of meditation. The meditation is not like think of nothing, not like empty mind, empty brain. The important is we need to connect with the sky. It's not we need to get rid of cloud. It's very difficult to get rid of cloud. Even you can get rid of cloud, not so much benefit, then become very dry, isn't it? So emotion is okay, thought is okay, feeling is okay. How we react to that is the problem. When we only have thought, emotion, feeling, perception, memory, we don't have behind that awareness, that love and compassion, that wisdom, then is the problem. But actually the behind the sky. So sky here is awareness, love and compassion, wisdom.
Ivy, please share what Rinpoche says about the practice and experience of meditation.
Yes, Joanna. Rinpoche says that the essence of the practice of meditation is recognizing awareness. It does not matter whether our mind is calm or not for us to be in meditation. He says that as long as we recognize the presence of awareness, we are in meditation. He says that the experience of meditation, such as peace, joy, happiness, bliss and clarity is not meditation. They are the results or byproducts from the practice of meditation.
Kevin, please share what you have learned from Rinpoche's talk.
Yes, Joanna. Rinpoche says that real meditation is recognizing the presence of awareness. He says that it does not matter whether we have thoughts or not, as long as we recognize the presence of awareness, that is, we are self-aware. He uses a river as a metaphor for the flow of thoughts and emotions in our minds. He says that if we can see the river, with its flow of thoughts and emotions, then we are out of the river, and is in meditation. If we are carried away in the flow of our thoughts and emotions, it is similar to falling into the river and being carried away by its flow. We will then be unable to be aware of the presence of awareness.
Ivy, what are the two factors that Rinpoche uses to differentiate the quality of meditation?
Rinpoche says that the view and motivation change the quality of meditation. What he meant by view is that the person is able to recognize the presence of awareness or be self-aware, and what he meant by motivation is the attempt made to be aware of any objects that will allow the person to be self-aware.
Kevin and Ivy, please share the other metaphors that Rinpoche uses to illustrate awareness.
Yes, Joanna. Rinpoche says that awareness is like a lamp that illuminates darkness. What he meant by this is that most people are living their life in darkness, unable to differentiate their true self from their avatar mind and body. When they recognize awareness, they will have the space or light to see and control the activities of their avatar mind and body, from the perspective of a third-party observer and controller.
Rinpoche also says that awareness is like the space in the sky and that thoughts and emotions are like the clouds, storms and rainbows in the sky. They can arise, stay and dissolve back into space, but they cannot change space.
Kevin, Rinpoche says that there are object-oriented and subject-oriented styles of meditation. Please describe the difference between the two styles.
Yes, Joanna. Rinpoche says that in subject-oriented meditation, the focus is on the subject, which is awareness. It does not matter what objects are used by the meditator to recognize the presence of awareness. In subject-oriented meditation, the meditator can meditate everywhere, anytime and under any circumstances. In object-oriented meditation, the meditator has to choose an object as the sole focus for their meditation to calm their mind. Using the object as the focus, the meditator aims to achieve the meditative state, so that they can be self-aware and be able to recognize awareness. He uses breathing meditation as an example of object-oriented meditation. In object-oriented breathing meditation, the focus is on the meditator's breathing, so as to calm the person's mind by clearing up all thoughts and emotions.
Joanna, I would like to clarify the difference in subject and object-oriented meditation. In the case of object-oriented breathing meditation, the meditator focuses on using breathing as the object to calm the mind. Whereas in subject-oriented breathing meditation, the meditator's motivation is to be aware of the meditator's breathing, and in that way get connected to awareness. Am I correct?
Yes, Ivy. You are correct. Let us listen to how Rinpoche describes the subject-oriented meditation in practice, using sound as the object.
So can you hear? I ask you, can you hear the sound? You say, yes. So that is the sound meditation. You're aware of sound, right? The ear and mind both listen to the sound. So that is the sound meditation. Only the object is different. The essence is same, the awareness. The awareness is just, awareness is one. But when you use awareness with the body or sensation, then it becomes awareness of the body, awareness of sensation. Now you're using sound, and it becomes sound meditation. And it can be visual object, can be smell, taste, sensation, even thought and emotion also. But thought, emotion, if you are new to meditation, you have to wait for a while. First, you have to do this foundation meditation, like feeling, sensation, sound, this one first. So another important thing is awareness is important, but when you listen to sound, you are not particularly thinking about awareness, right? And no need also, because you already recognize awareness. I told you, awareness is important. The recognition of awareness is important. I already introduced you awareness. So that view stays back of your head, back of your mind, behind your heart, the view. And then the motivation that you want to meditate with the sound, that's the motivation. So this view and meditation change the quality of the listen to the sound automatically. So you didn't have to worry, look for, where's the awareness? I can hear sound, but the awareness where? Not necessary to look something extra.
Ivy, please share with us the subject-oriented sound meditation as described by Rinpoche.
Yes, Joanna. Rinpoche illustrates what he meant by subject-oriented sound meditation, by first drawing the attention of the audience to the presence of the sound from his Tibetan singing bowl. After that he asked the audience whether they are aware of the sound. When the audience say that they are aware of the sound, he says that it is their awareness that is aware of the sound. Their awareness is not lost in thought, but is fully present in the moment, and hearing the sound. He says that any object can be used for subject-oriented meditation, such as any visual object, smell, taste, body sensation, even thoughts and emotion.
I wonder why Rinpoche recommends for beginners to use body sensations and sound as objects for their meditation, instead of their thoughts and emotions.
Kevin, I think most beginners will be carried away by their thoughts and emotions when they are aware of them. It will be a lot easier for the beginner just to be aware of the presence of sound and bodily sensations in the present moment.
Rinpoche says that once we recognize awareness, it becomes like an observer viewing from the back of our head, back of our mind, and behind our heart to view our body and mind, having the motivation to be aware of the object of our meditation. He says that the view and motivation change the quality of the listening to the sound automatically. We do not need to find awareness as long as we are aware of the sound in the present moment.
I would like to summarize what we have learned so far about awareness and how connecting to it through the practice of meditation helps a person deal with the dynamics of life from a bigger and clearer perspective. We have learned that consciousness or awareness is our true inner person. This is illustrated by the red circle in the image of the 5 layers person. We are not aware of its presence because it is enclosed within the egoistical thinking and habit minds, and takes its identity from it. The practice of meditation is to enable awareness to grow out, and escape from the enclosure and form of the egoistical mind, and become its true egoless form. This is illustrated in the image to the right. When a person is in meditation, a gap is created between the egoless form of awareness at the back of the egoistical body and mind. This allows awareness to view the activities of the egoistical mind and body from the observer's perspective. The egoless form of awareness is like the empty space in the sky as described by Rinpoche, or an uncarved wooden block as described by the ancient Chinese philosopher, Lao Tzu. Due to its unclouded and uncarved nature, it will have a clearer vision of life and the world, unencumbered by the memories and prejudices of the egoistical form. In this way, A meditative person takes action that flows in accordance with the dynamics of life and not against it. This is expressed in the ancient Chinese concept of Wu Wei, or effortless action. Kevin and Ivy, we shall now conclude Part 3A of this session on connecting to your inner person through meditation. You now know that the way to connect to your awareness is through the practice of being aware, so that your awareness can be drawn to any activity that you direct attention on in the present moment. In Part 3B, we shall discuss on how living in the present moment with awareness in the background can help transform our lives. We shall explore the concept of Wu Wei and how an aware person can flow with the dynamics of life, metaphorically speaking, in an effortless way. We shall also discuss the essence of Islamic and Christian meditation practices, and how they are similar to subject-oriented meditation that we have just discussed. We will then conclude by listening to the views of two scientists on what they think is the reality behind the game of life.